wasn't that long ago that it was toxic here, and it was certainly toxic on Tyneside, yet both sides now are benefiting from the turnaround in terms of the atmosphere. A real feel-good factor both in the northeast and in North London, and we're underway as Newcastle United in their black and white striped shirts, black shorts and black socks are playing from right to left as we look against an Arsenal side in their traditional colours, the red and white shirts and the white shorts, and with Ramsdale all in yellow away towards our left-hand side, they're playing from left to right. But for Newcastle, they've not scored in their last 7 visits since Jose Perez back in December 2014. 10 hours and 57 minutes and counting since they last scored at this stadium. But can they get back on track and derail an Arsenal side that could potentially be 10 points clear of Manchester City? Fascinating game at the top of the table as the referee, who is Andy Madley, gives an early free kick to Newcastle United.
Not sure about that, Deno, to be honest. It looked like both players going for the ball. Saka is in it with the foul, but it was pretty much shoulder to shoulder, jumping into the challenge, and a little bit unfortunate to give that foul away. It's that slick, greasy pitch, isn't it? A lot of water coming out, like a fine drizzle, isn't it? It's just swirling around the stadium.
Trippier to take the free kick then, about 12 yards forward of the centre circle. Arsenal have got everybody back just outside the D of their penalty area. Quite a flat ball in, headed out by Gabriel. It's going to come out to Longstaff, and the referee in fact has spotted that the flag is up on that far side, and it will be a free kick to Arsenal. By the way, I mean, every football fan at this time of year when fixtures are getting changed in terms of the various kickoffs and the travelling up and down the length and breadth of the country, but what support from Newcastle United over there. 3,000 of them. Obviously a train strike today, first of a 48-hour train strike, and yet their support, fantastic.
Unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, that away end is just absolutely packed out. Like I say, it's a horrible evening, but they've turned out here with difficult transport issues, so, you know, all credit to them.
Play back underway from the free kick. Martinelli on the far side. Here is Xhaka, plays the ball back. Zinchenko collects it short of the halfway line, goes infield. Saliba under pressure. White quickly places a short ball towards Partey, able to turn through the middle. Xhaka lets it run through. Martinelli left corner of the penalty area. Martinelli in the box, gets the shot, partially cleared, comes out towards White, sliced it. Awkward for him around knee height off his left boot. Martinelli's kept it alive, far side, and Newcastle United still haven't got it away. Odegaard on the volley, left-footed, 12 yards out, couldn't keep it down. Out for a goal kick. Listen to the Arsenal roar, 0-0.
Wow, what a move from Arsenal. Real high intensity tempo. They've started this game. And the one thing that's different about Arsenal this season for me, a massive thing, is what started that, is you've got Granit Xhaka running from midfield. He is such an attacking midfield player now. All of a sudden, he's bursting past the centre forward, lets the ball bounce wide, then all of a sudden Martinelli's 1v1 dribbling into the corner of the 18-yard box. I mean, it happened out of nothing, really. Just that direct approach, sometimes some short passes, then all of a sudden they'll mix it up and go a little bit longer over the top.
And it was an awkward one for White off his left foot as Almiron will try and wriggle away, but he's quickly crowded out by the red and white shirts. You can see the rain off the floodlights, the way that it's swirling, the way that Newcastle are playing from right to left.
Is that why you wore that fisherman's jumper tonight, because of the wet and windy conditions?
You're certainly not a fisherman's friend.
You're thinking ahead, didn't you?
Here is Zinchenko playing the ball out up towards Martinelli on that left-hand side.
You say that about the Newcastle supporters. I mean, even if Newcastle was sitting third, fourth, bottom, it'd probably look the same.
It probably would. There won't be many bare-chested supporters over there in that end on this night tonight, I wouldn't have thought. Willock against his former club couldn't get there. Odegaard, referee's played the advantage, Andy Madley. Odegaard now towards Saka, right-hand side. Joe Linton back there helping out with Byrne. He'll try and beat both of them, and he does. Round the back, and he goes for goal off the legs of Pope towards Xhaka. Newcastle head the ball away through Sean Longstaff. Martinelli plays it back. Such a positive start this by Arsenal. Partey goes square. Zinchenko laid off towards Odegaard. Xhaka, Martinelli back towards Xhaka. Xhaka with a shot blocked, comes out towards Saka. Goes down under the challenge from Joel Linton. Andy Madley has a good look at it. No penalty.
Wow. Newcastle just need to get a moment in this game. They're under siege. Arsenal really turning the screw at the moment.
Can't get out, Newcastle United. They're firmly rocked onto the back foot. Saka went past the two players on this near side to the right, and here he is once again.
It's an interesting matchup, though, isn't it? Saka and Burn. I mean, Dan Burn does brilliantly with how big he is to cope with those situations, but the low centre of gravity that Saka has and his ability to turn, there's nobody sharper than him at the moment in those twisty, turny situations.
But Joel Linton at the minute is playing left of midfield.
Yep.
It's almost like a 4-5-1 for Newcastle because of the intensity of Arsenal's start. BBC Radio 5 Live, 5.5 minutes played. Let's go to Goodison. Chris Coles.
Very bright Everton start, very nearly rewarded with the game's opening goal. Still 0-0, but Alex Iwobi, right foot shot just inside the penalty area. Well saved by Robert Sanchez, diving to his left-hand side. Everton on top, 0-0.
Commentary of that one is on Sports Extra. Newcastle United try and win the ball in the Arsenal half. They lose out. Saka gets away from Longstaff. Saka now running in field. They've got two over. One of them is Martinelli. Martinelli towards Xhaka. Xhaka on the slide into the side netting. Such another promising move from Arsenal. And Newcastle United have had quite a difficult opening 6 minutes.
What a start to the game this is. Honestly, I cannot tell you how badly Arsenal want this at the moment. It's just so good to see the energy. I mean, Ben White is running past Saka on the overlap, really draws the play out. Saka decides to play the ball wide to Martinelli, who's driving into the box, and then another run from Xhaka. I mean, the turnover of the ball and how quickly Arsenal are running forward at the moment from right back, centre midfield. I mean, they're really trying to get this goal very early in this game.
That's the voice of Matt Upson, who's with us here at the Emirates on BBC Radio 5 Live. We've been playing for 7 minutes. It's Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 0. Everton Brighton, we've just heard from Chris Coles at Goodison. What about Leicester City Fulham? Another 7:45 kick-off lead lately.
Leicester 0, Fulham 0. Couple of early chances, both have gone Fulham's way. Willian firing over from the edge of the area, and then Willian seconds later firing wide from the edge of the area. Lively start, Leicester 0, Fulham 0.
Martinelli tried to thread a ball through. That was stopped on that far side by Cher. Trippier lifts the ball long, headed back by Zinchenko. Guimaraes is quickly closed down and fouled by Granit Xhaka, and that'll be a free kick to Newcastle United, and it offers just a little bit of respite because of Arsenal's start.
Oh, it's been phenomenal. It really has. I mean, Newcastle got to take a breath really and just gather themselves, try and slow it down a little bit. You can sometimes come to these kind of games and it's first v third, could be a little bit, let's just feel them out, have possession of the ball, settle ourselves. Arsenal have just gone, no, we're going to go bang, we're going to get wide, we're going to go forwards quickly, we're going to get runners into the box. They've just tried to hit Newcastle really early.
Trippier with a free kick for Newcastle United, just inside his own half. He lifts it long, it's flicked on by Cher. It was cleared away well actually by White, who was tucked in. Quite a narrow back four at the right back for Arsenal on the half volley was able to clear. Almiron has picked it up midway through his own half, and Newcastle United are forced to go back towards Nick Pope, who's kept the most clean sheets in the Premier League this season with 9. Just on the evidence of what we've seen so far tonight, that record's going to be tested.
Hugely tested. I mean, from this start, conditions aren't easy either, are they, for a goalkeeper? I expect a lot of potential long-range efforts, anything skipping in front of a goalkeeper on this kind of pitch with a bit of a swirly wind, very difficult to handle. Be very surprised if there are clean sheets at maybe either end in this game.
9 minutes in, Arsenal building from the back. Partey out to Ødegaard. Ødegaard now running forward, blocked by the run of Willock. Ødegaard slides into the challenge to try and win it back, and the referee then gives a foul because Partey's fouled Willock inside the centre circle of the Arsenal half. But it's quick, it's positive. There's a real purpose about Arsenal's play,
isn't there? And there's a real kind of togetherness. Everyone's moving off the ball at the perfect moment. They're finding each other with passes. When they get the passing going, it's so slick, and the interchange and the movement from out to in, it's good to watch when it all comes together.
And that belief that Arsenal are playing with, and that confidence, appears to be reflected certainly with the supporters and the atmosphere here in North London. However, Guimaraes will come forward for Newcastle United. Out it goes to Trippier. Almiron on the overlap, right-hand side. Almiron. Trippier. Guimaraes will play the ball inside to Almiron. Now it's with Byrne, the left back, midway through the Arsenal half. Joel Linton. Now Newcastle United have an opportunity to try and keep the ball in these horrible, wet, swirling conditions. The black and white striped shirt of Cher rippling in the breeze as he collects the ball back from Botman. Just inside his own half now, right of the centre circle. Arsenal are pressing. Newcastle United still have the ball, but have been forced back a little bit, and we've been playing for just over 10 minutes here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall in that technical area watching on, trying to get their instructions across to their players, but Arsenal putting pressure on Longstaff. He releases it. Cher now will step forward out of defence, bobbles a little bit for him, up towards Wilson. Wilson able to turn. Wilson shoots, right-footed. Comfortable save for Ramsdale, all in yellow, 0-0.
Nice piece of control from Newcastle. They had to kind of just steady the game a little bit. They certainly did that with that passage of play. You can see the team's got a bit of confidence in terms of handling the ball, especially across the back in these conditions. It can be like a bar of soap at times, and they handled it really well, moved the ball forward, and I think Wilson just fancied, I'll have a hit on this kind of surface. I'll just fire one in and just test Ramsdale, and he just coped with it really well.
But also, as you say, that control spell from Newcastle United, an indication from them that they're not going to just come here and park the bus.
No, absolutely not. They're a confident team. They're on a great run, and they're just slowly, last couple of minutes, starting to grow into this game a little bit.
Almiron picks up the loose ball on the right-hand side for Newcastle United. And then Trippier gets forward. Every outfield player is in the Arsenal half. It's played up towards Almiron. One bounce, though, and it's away and out for a goal kick to Arsenal. You look at the record, though, of these two teams. Newcastle United have suffered just one defeat all season. A late goal at Anfield as Liverpool won by 2-1. Arsenal have dropped 5 points all season.
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, what a run. And you can see it in the players, whether or not it's... I mean, there's a large number of this group who have never won a Premier League. Yeah. And you've got a manager who's very young, never won a Premier League as a manager. And you kind of think, well, that goes a long way as well, because you can tell they've just got a hunger about them at the moment, and that belief and the quality is all just coming together all at once.
12.5 minutes played on BBC Radio 5 Live. You might well be listening on BBC Sounds as well. Always gives you the option to rewind and pause, as here is Guimaraes running forward. Spreads play out towards the right-hand side. Trippier brings it under control at around knee height, runs forward. Almiron able to turn outside the area for Newcastle United. Almiron looking to try and get the shot away. It's an acute angle on that right-hand side. Trippier now sends over the cross. Willett was there. Joel Linton was arriving, headed away by Ødegaard. That was a sharp turn by Nketiah, and Nketiah now is away for Arsenal, midway through the Newcastle half, drifting out towards the left-hand side, enters the penalty area on the left, checks back, Nketiah pulls it back, Xhaka scuffed it, and then it was too far in front of Ødegaard, and then agonisingly from an Arsenal point of view behind Saka, who's kept the ball in play. Arsenal still attacking, 0-0. Partey chips it across towards Zinchenko, left corner of the penalty area. What a bright opening 14 minutes it's been at the Emirates. The ball played forward and then cleared by Botman, only as far as Partey. Now it's Arsenal's turn to have every outfield player in the Newcastle half. Ball goes long by Gabriel. He's picked out Saka, eventually gets it under control, plays it ahead of him. Ødegaard coming across and teetering across the byline he was, and the last touch came off Ødegaard, and the assistant referee has said it will be a goal kick. Let's go to Will Perry at Old Trafford. Manchester United, Bournemouth.
Yeah, lovely moment here before kick-off. Ian, Lisandro Martinez, a World Cup winner, and everyone on their feet at Old Trafford, including the Bournemouth fans, applauding him as he comes out to the centre circle with his World Cup winning medal on the bench tonight. But a beautiful moment for the Argentine.
Thank you, Will. Just before, I was talking before about BBC Sounds, and on the day that Pelé has been laid to rest with thousands of mourners in Brazil, we do have, of course, on the BBC Sounds, the podcast Remembering Pelé, still available should you wish to take a listen. Meanwhile, there's been a goal at Goodison. Chris Coles.
And it's gone to Brighton. Everton 0, Brighton 1. It had been domination from the home side, but Brighton, really for the first time in this game, building up a head of steam, and Japanese international Karu Mitoma capitalising on a Nathan Patterson mistake to burst into the penalty area, finish into the bottom left-hand corner, and give the visitors the lead. With 15 minutes to played, Everton 0, Brighton 1.
Almiron looking to turn. Commentary of that is on Sports Extra. The ball, though, goes out towards Joel Linton, left corner of the area. Still 0-0 here at the Emirates on BBC Radio 5 Live, and Joel Linton will win a corner kick for Newcastle United.
I mean, we've just got to go back to that little piece of play and just mention Eddie Nketiah there from that piece of centre-forward play. Had a little bit of everything a moment ago. Used his body, shrugged off the challenge, spun, picked up the ball, drove with it, sat Botman down in the box, I think it was, checked back and then fed it back to Xhaka. It was a lovely piece of play from Eddie Nketiah, who, along with the many other Arsenal players, has started this game so brightly.
Mitoma, who scored against Arsenal at the weekend, that his fourth goal of the season, giving Brighton the lead. That's on Sports Extra. Leicester City 0, Fulham 0. Manchester United, Bournemouth underway, of course, at 8 o'clock. So very much in the early stages there at Old Trafford. Goalless here. Newcastle have a corner kick left-hand side. Trippier to take it. Arsenal have everybody back. Trippier on the left-hand side, right-footed. It's an in-swinger. The header from Cher drops off target. Goal kick.
Tough header because Cher's coming away from the goal. Nice delivery into the box, as you'd expect with Trippier.
Long ball downfield from Ramsdale. There was a slip by Longstaff. He actually recovered very, very well. He was under pressure of all people from Ben White.
Ben White has been flying up the right-hand side of this pitch. At any moment, he's on his bike every time, whether it be to draw players his way or to press the ball. And I thought Longstaff was in big trouble then. You're absolutely right. He just managed to stay on his feet and just recover in time.
Good game, though, isn't it?
Excellent game. Really is a good start to the match, and just over a quarter of an hour gone, 17 minutes gone, and it's a treat at the moment. Arsenal, who've won all 7 at home, looking to win their opening 8 home games in the top flight for the first time. They did 7 in 1934 and 35. Newcastle United, of course, had their winning sequence ended at the weekend, and now they are cast in the role of party poopers. There's been a goal at Leicester now. Lee Blakeman.
Leicester 0, Fulham 1. It had been coming. Ball in from the left, nicely finished off by you-know-who, Alexander Mitrovic, for his 11th goal of the season. Tidy finish, bottom corner, 18 played. Leicester 0, Fulham 1.
Fulham going into that game with back-to-back wins. Leicester City back-to-back defeats and only 3 points clear of the relegation zone. Here at the top of the table, we are focusing our eyes on Arsenal against Newcastle United, and it's been an entertaining 18 minutes so far. Botman at the back for Newcastle, forward ball along the ground. Joe Willock, former Arsenal player, 11 goals and in 78 appearances in his 4 years at Arsenal, as Zinchenko climbs high to head the ball out of play on that far side.
He's got a nice diagonal passing in Botman, hasn't he? Like shifting that onto his left foot and clipping that ball out to Almiron on the right-hand side. It's really well measured. He looks very confident in just hitting that at any moment. Something Arsenal have to be aware of. That switch of play into a player like Almiron can really create some space out on that right-hand flank for Newcastle.
£32 million they signed him from Lille as Partey in the midfield. Finds the feet of Saka over the halfway line. Saka goes back inside towards Thomas Partey. The square ball for Zinchenko. Zinchenko out to the left touchline for Martinelli. Midway through the Newcastle United half. Back with Zinchenko. Diagonal ball spread out towards Saka. Controls it with the outside of his left foot. Enters the penalty area right-hand side. But Byrne got the block in. And it will go out for a throw to Arsenal, down by the corner flag, which White wants to take. But a great deal of movement for the England international. And he goes to Saka, who's quickly crowded out, back towards White, digs out the cross, headed away by Botman. Zinchenko heads it forward, headed further on by Martinelli and picked up by Pope. 20 minutes we've been playing now. Newcastle United appear to have weathered that early storm from Arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was quite a storm as well, wasn't it? One of the brightest starts to a Premier League game I've seen for a while from Arsenal, really going for the throat very early on, haven't managed to capitalise and get a goal, but still very dominant in a lot of ways. And I think it's just forced Newcastle a little bit more defensively. I'm looking at Willock and Longstaff are really narrowing off in that middle of the park. The movement from Arsenal with Odegaard and Xhaka off the party, lots of different angles and levels they're receiving the ball. And I think Newcastle is just trying to solid up that middle of the pitch.
Referees had to stop play, Andy Madley. It was Joel Linton who's gone down. He wasn't really moving at the time when Andy Madley blew his whistle, and of course the referee has got to quite rightly be sensible and take every precaution in that area of the straight away the physios are on and just tending to a potential head injury for Joel Linton. So there's a stoppage in play. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live. We've been playing for 21 minutes and it's Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 0. What about the start at Old Trafford? Manchester United, Bournemouth, Will Perry.
Coming up 6 minutes gone, still Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 0 as the ball's cleared up field by Mark Travers, the Bournemouth goalkeeper. United with a lot of the ball, as you'd expect. Ericsson picked out Fernandes with a lovely pass, with Rashford trying to drive through the Bournemouth defence, but the ball was never under control, cleared by the visitors. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 0.
Joel Linton is still down. On Sports Extra tonight, it's at Goodison Park. We have Everton, Brighton. Chris Coles is keeping an eye on this one for us.
So nearly a second goal for Brighton. They lead Everton by 1-0. Karu Mutoma's goal. But Evan Ferguson, the 18-year-old, his first start for Brighton, fresh from scoring his first senior goal against Arsenal a couple of days ago. He's hit the base of the post. Brilliantly swivel technique from the penalty spot. Left foot, Pickford beaten. The post in the way. Still Everton 0, Brighton 1, 21 minutes played.
Joel Linton's back on his feet. Play is yet to resume. We can squeeze in Leicester City, Fulham with Lee Blakeman.
Leicester 0, Fulham 1. It could easily have been 2 though. Decordova reads ball in from the right. It fell to the right man. Mitrovic, edge of the area, snatched at this one. Fortunately for Leicester, who are all over the place. Leicester 0, Fulham 1.
Play is back underway and Joel Linton is back on the field.
Can I just say, in that break of play, did you see Mikel Arteta with the team? I mean, he got them all over in a huddle, and I'm actually exhausted having watching how he was communicating. I mean, the hand signals were going off the charts. I mean, they were everywhere, the movement, the energy, and you see him in operation. He's got some energy, hasn't he? And he was just got the whole team over, really giving lots of direction, lots of instruction in that period while Joel Linton was just getting treatment.
He's animated at the best of times,
isn't he?
And once again, all in black with his jet black hair. I mean, you wouldn't know looking at him as a manager. There's no hint of grey there, is there?
No. Obviously not stressed, is he?
No. Although just because you've got grey hair doesn't mean that you're stressed. Here is White. Saka. Now with Thomas Partey in the centre circle. Diagonal ball, Byrne read it well, just stepped forward at the right time. Willock picks it up, plays it ahead to Joel Linton, miscontrols the ball, pulls back at Partey. Again the referee, good refereeing from Andy Madley, letting the game flow.
Yeah, Partey got his body in well, took the foul, but then they allowed the play on.
Saka released on the right, the return ball from Odegaard goes ahead of him. That's going to be interesting here with Byrne against Saka. Because, I don't know, when you look at Dan Byrne, whether it's because of his height, you don't necessarily think that he's the quickest. He hasn't. There was just that one opportunity where Saka went past him and Joel Linton.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's any disgrace for any defender that Xhaka's dropping a shoulder and going around you at the moment. He's got an unbelievable kind of low centre of gravity, and the speed in which he drops that shoulder and goes is pretty blistering. And he is the type of player that is the trickiest of customers for a Dan Byrne, though. And I think that's the point. The matchup is not an easy one for Dan Byrne, and if he gets through this game having contained Saka and not allowed him to influence the game with any key moments, he'll have had a really good game, Dan Byrne.
That's the voice of Matt Upson, who scored his first league goal of his career against Newcastle United. Wasn't for Arsenal, it was for Birmingham City. The first of 14 league goals in your career at St Andrews in a 2-2 draw. We're level here at the Emirates as Saka tried to come on the inside there of Byrne and Joel Linton, and then the ball just went away from him. Byrne now to Botman, who clears inside the Newcastle United penalty area. Saliba beats Wilson in the air. Forward ball, Klein's passing. to Zinchenko, lets the ball settle on the left-hand side before playing it forward to Martinelli. Back to Zinchenko, lets it come across his body, the Ukrainian, and then turns and plays a left-footed ball back to the left. Interception from Cher, and he's done well to nick it away and continue to slide into the challenge, but that loose ball picked up by Martinelli. And Newcastle United once again are coming under pressure as Arsenal get it out towards Saka, growing in confidence. Joel Linton had doubled up on him, plays the ball inside, the support from White, the right back, and then it was Trippier who was tucked in. He slips in the wet conditions, greasy underfoot. Joel Linton up towards Wilson. Wilson dives forward. Arteta, not animated but apoplectic. And it'll be a free kick to Newcastle United, and now he takes his frustration out on the fourth official.
Yeah, and Callum Wilson's looking at him, kind of shrugging his shoulders like, come on, it's a foul. And I get the point Mikel Arteta's making in that Callum Wilson got his body across. It's intentional. He receives the contact. Is it enough to knock him to the floor? Probably not. But when you get that bump and your team's under pressure, you're a centre forward, it's good play to take the foul, go over, win the free kick, slow the game down. And Mikel Arteta, he's got a head of steam up at the moment, hasn't he? He's really trying to push the team, and Newcastle just trying to calm it down a little bit.
Trippier with a free kick. It's a high one to the edge of the area. Byrne was up there, knocks it up into the air. Arsenal get it away, and Nketiah tries to direct his header out towards Martinelli, and actually receives it inadvertently off Cher, and then that was a late challenge, and Guimaraes is shown a yellow card from Andy Madley.
I'm not sure if he made contact there, Deno. I'd like to see that again on a replay. He's shaking his head, Guimaraes. Yes, he's late. He goes into ground, but I'm not sure if he makes minimal amount of contact. It's a late tackle, but I'm not sure if that's a yellow card, to be honest.
Arsenal attacking, still goalless on BBC Radio 5 Live. Martinelli far side the left. It was a combination of Almiron and Trippier who stopped the run of Martinelli, and Almiron now clears long. Wilson trying to get on the end of it, being held off by Gabriel. And Wilson has just gone and caught Saliba, and he now is shown a yellow card. I don't think there was any malice, but it was a high boot and it caught the Arsenal defender.
Yeah, I think Saliba just took a little bit more time than what Callum Wilson was expecting him to. I think he thought he was going to deal with it earlier and just pop the ball over his head with a pass. He didn't. He waited for the ball to drop down a little bit lower, maybe left it another bounce and then tried to clear it, and Wilson is just trying to toe the ball away with his foot, and in doing so he does raise his studs, and it's one of those nasty ones which I've done many a times where you kick the bottom of a centre forward boot and it isn't pleasant. It might have a bruise there on the top of the foot tomorrow morning.
So 2 yellow cards in the space of 60 seconds for Newcastle United. Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 0, and it's a good noise as we approach 8:15 on this Tuesday evening. It is a Tuesday, isn't it?
I was just thinking that when you said that. I thought, I have no clue what day of the week it is at the moment.
Here is Partey. Very, very soon normal service will resume once the festive, well, we're over the festive period more or less now anyway, aren't we? Here is Joel Linton on this near side, the left.
You're not one of these people that still wishes someone Happy New Year in the middle of January.
No.
What's your cut-off point?
Probably today, actually,
yeah,
I think.
Okay.
You?
New Year's Day, I think.
We're approaching the half hour. Ødegaard pokes the ball to Nketiah, picks it up midway through his own half, goes down under the challenge of Dan Burn, and once again Arteta is putting pressure on the officials, and Jason Tindall now is responding from the other dugout, and all of a sudden the fourth official has just got a little bit of work to do just to try and calm down both respective benches.
Well, I think Mikel Arteta's been that animated about these decisions that the Newcastle bench or staff have to feel like they've got to kind of retaliate or get involved here a little bit. He's so active on that touchline. He really, I know he always is, but whether or not it's because of how the game started and the pace of this game is pretty frantic, and whether or not that's just rubbed off on him a little bit as well.
Cher carries the ball forward, carries it a long way to the halfway line. His forward ball towards Willett was cut out by Saliba. Picked up now by Partey. Back to the central defender Saliba. He goes towards Gabriel. Gabriel to Zinchenko, the left back, midway through his own half. Now with Partey. Newcastle United have every black and white striped shirt behind the ball. Almiron will go towards Partey, who just comes to a standstill and ushers Gabriel ahead of him. Out it goes to that far side, the left. Zinchenko is actually playing ahead of Xhaka. Xhaka temporarily has filled in on that left-hand side. Ødegaard had made a run forward, nobody spotted it. Arsenal being patient at this stage. We've got 15 minutes to go to half-time, it's 0-0. And in the minute, Newcastle United are just dropping off, and Xhaka, it is, short of the halfway line on that left-hand side. Martinelli has now gone in field. Zinchenko is the player on the left-hand side. Ødegaard once again is looking to try and make that run. He's itching. Here is Xhaka on the halfway line. Plays it short towards Partey. All of a sudden, for the first time, it felt a little bit like a game of chess there, as Arsenal were waiting and deciding what to do. Yeah, for the first time. Normally, so far the game's been played almost on instinct, hasn't it? They've seen something, done it, thought about it later. It's been that kind of start for Arsenal, and a lot of it has come off. But now, you have to credit Newcastle. You have to credit they've weathered that storm. They've got a foothold in the game. They're now starting to kind of get a grip of their role in this match. Xhaka, his ball in field, well read again by Byrne, clears it away left-footed, only as far as Zinchenko. Picks it up midway through the Newcastle United half. Partey gives it back to the Ukrainian. But again, Newcastle, 4-5-1. Urged on now by the home support. Gabriel was under a little bit of pressure. And Zinchenko it was, with Almiron snapping at his heels, is forced to go back. And Arsenal are almost now midway through their own half. And they're biding their time. Xhaka it is. Here's it, ball inside. Chair, pulled back, free kick. Let's go to Goodison, Chris Coles.
Brighton still have a one-goal lead over Everton, and they look very comfortable. Evan Ferguson coming close a few moments ago, right foot shot just over the bar. He's confident for 18 years old. The Goodison Park faithful getting restless. Everton 0, Brighton 1.
Commentary of that one's on Sports Extra. Leicester Fulham, Lee Blakeman.
Leicester 0, Fulham 1. How Leicester aren't level though, Ian, I have no idea. Tielemans, perfect cross from the right. Perez, unmarked, back post, 6 yards out. Hits it miles over. 13 to go until the break. Leicester 0, Fulham 1.
Free kick for Newcastle United. Share hoisted out towards Joe Linton whilst you're away, and Nketiah has been booked. Ball played forward by Joe Linton down the left side towards Willock. And the return ball to him, and Joe Linton actually wins it back, keeps the ball in play on this near side, the left, delivers the cross, cleared away on the half volley by Saliba, up towards Nketiah. Newcastle United though stop that run of Nketiah and then go into the centre circle towards Share. And Share to Willock, wasn't expecting that, move breaks down, they lose the ball. Arsenal now look quickly out towards Martinelli. Was driven quite hard to the feet of Martinelli by Xhaka, controlled it well. Ødegaard, central position, challenged by Joe Linton. Referee says it's a free kick. We'll go to Old Trafford. Will Perry.
Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 0. Nice move, Fernandes out to Shaw, ball into the box. Martial, whose header was high and wide. A few tackles flying in as well. The latest from Van der Beek, lucky not to be booked after wiping out Smith. Anthony's wasted a free kick for the visitors. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 0.
Thanks, Will. The referee's coming under pressure, whether it be from Arteta or the crowd, but not every foul has to result in a yellow card.
No.
Yeah, that's the impression you get from the Arsenal support.
Yeah, I mean, he's made a rod for his own back a little bit, the referee, in the sense that sometimes you've got to make a little allowance for the conditions, I feel. It's that type of evening where you can easily just gradually, unintentionally mistime something, commit a foul that might look a little bit like a yellow card, but really it isn't. And I think that's a difficult balance to strike, isn't it?
So, Matt Upson with us here on BBC 5 Live. 11 minutes to go to half-time. Ødegaard to take it, midway through the Newcastle United half. His right arm is held aloft. He's approaching this really almost in front of the ball. That's how much he's going to have to wrap his left foot around it. And he does exactly that. And the header just drops wide. Is it Gabriel?
Gabriel, yeah.
Who got up. Saliba was also there, and the looping header off target, and Pope was quite pleased to see it drop to his left-hand side of his goal, 0-0.
I mean, he really exaggerates that curl, doesn't he, Ødegaard? When he plays those free kicks, just really whips it, and that's very close. Look at the replay, probably a foot wide as Gabriel gets above anyone. the ball really drops quickly because he puts so much curl on the ball. It gets up high and then it drops quite quickly. Gabriel read it the best and got a good header on it, but it's a tough one to score from because there's not a lot of pace on it, is there? It's kind of just lofted in there. You have to generate your own pace to score.
The frantic nature of the game and the intensity, I've enjoyed the 35 minutes so far, but when you actually assess the chances that have been created, few and far between.
Not many real efforts on goal, have there? Arsenal got to the byline a few times and created some nice openings, but like you say, that final ball or final effort on goal hasn't quite been there.
Xhaka hit the side netting early doors. There's been a tame shot from Wilson that was comfortably saved by Ramsdale, all in yellow, away towards our left-hand side. As Arsenal stroked back very casually by Zinchenko to Gabriel. And Nketiah slips, falls over, ball runs through towards Pope. All in green, away towards our right. He clears long. Wilson and Joelinton both go for the aerial ball, but neither of them can get the touch, and it's Zinchenko who picks it up for Arsenal. But that was careless by Zinchenko, straight to Joelinton. Now Wilson, back towards Joelinton, enters the penalty area. Joelinton, the angle is tight, keeps his feet, pulls it back towards Wilson, closed down by Gabriel, headed forward by Almiron, and caught in the end by Ramsdale. And he throws the ball out underarm, and all of a sudden Xhaka is urged on. Still 0-0, 5 live, 9 minutes to go to half-time. Challenge comes in from Almiron. Xhaka writhing around in agony.
He's going to get yellow card out again.
And Andy Madley is coming under pressure to show yellow once more.
I'm not sure if he is. He's walking over. He's having a long think about this, the referee. Bending over and having a chat with Almiron, who made a typical attacking player's recovery tackle. And yes, it's a foul, but it's a genuine attempt for the ball, and I think that, you know, it's not particularly dangerous or reckless and doesn't warrant a yellow card, and the referee has made the right choice there.
Andy Madley was met by that little boyish, impish grin from Almiron, and also the thumbs up as well, almost like a smiling assassin. Who could ever book Almiron with a look like that? As the ball is over the top by Saliba to Saka. Saka hooks the ball in play, and Nketiah does well actually to keep it alive with his back to goal. Able to turn, is he? Right corner of the penalty area, and Nketiah's done well. Saka to Ødegaard, lets it run through. Partey, shot, blocked by Willock. Still 0-0, comes out towards Saliba. Arsenal looking to finish the half the way that they started it. Thomas Partey, they're playing from left to right. Elsewhere, Everton 0, Brighton 1, Leicester 0, Fulham 1, Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 0. Tomorrow, more live Premier League commentary. Crystal Palace, Tottenham from 7. And Thursday night, we're at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea against Manchester City. You could say capital gain on BBC Radio 5 Live this week. And that's not even talking anywhere near our level of football that we've got you on FA Cup weekend. 4 commentaries alone on Saturday, starting at Priestfield, Gillingham against Leicester. And then next week, it's the League Cup quarter-finals. Newcastle United will actually take on Leicester City, who are still trailing against Fulham by 1-0. Everton 0, Brighton 1. But there's been a goal now at Old Trafford. Will Perry.
Manchester United 1, Bournemouth 0. Beautiful free kick in from Christian Eriksen from the left-hand side. Pinpoint. There was Casemiro on the volley past Travers. Lovely goal. 1-0 Manchester United.
That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. This was 7:45. We're in the 39th minute, and it's still 0-0. Martinelli far side the left to Zinchenko. Turns. Marshalled by Longstaff. Partey will play the ball back out to Zinchenko. Early ball forward. Stopped and cut out by Trippier. Ball up towards Wilson. Tightly marked by Gabriel. Wilson goes to ground. Referee says no foul. Almost falls towards Almiron. Guimaraes now will come forward. He was having his shirt pulled there. Ødegaard with a challenge. The referee tried to let the game flow, and he's brought it back for the earlier challenge where there was a pullback on Guimaraes. Good refereeing once again from Andy Madley.
I agree, spot on. It's whether or not he's going to book Ødegaard for that initial tug. I'm not sure if he's finished with this. Andy Madley is calling Ødegaard over, and he's got the yellow card out of his pocket, and he's left with little choice, if I'm honest, because I think there's a tug back, and whether or not there's a lot of a tug back. There's enough for Odegaard to impede the Newcastle player. Was it Joe Linton or Guimaraes maybe?
Guimaraes, yeah.
Who was driving away from him, and then there's a shirt tug as well, little handed on the shirt, and it's the right decision from the referee. Good decision to try and allow play on, then to put it back and give the yellow card.
Odegaard shown yellow. Arteta must be treading a fine line, testing the patience of the fourth official down below, because it's incessant, the way that he's just chippering away.
Yeah, it's relentless, isn't it? Like a barrage every time there's a decision. They're not happy with the yellow cards the Arsenal players have had.
Trippier goes long with a free kick. A couple of Newcastle players go down, but the referee has spotted a foul, and it'll be a free kick to Arsenal. And then Joel Linton has kicked the ball away, preventing Arsenal from taking a quick free kick. It's brewing rather nicely, Matt Upson.
Yeah, the referee's got to be a little bit careful that this doesn't start to get a little bit out of control. It's been a very high-tempo, competitive game, and it's just spilling over a little bit on the touchlines, especially with the Arsenal bench, and also on the pitch. There's a big reaction, and the crowd are hyped, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, well, the significance of Arsenal going 10 points clear, bearing in mind that no side, when they've been in this situation, all previous teams have gone on to win the title after collecting at least 43 points after 16 games. Spurs 60-61, 46 after 16. Chelsea 05-06. Manchester City, Liverpool in more recent years. Arsenal, a little bit late was it from Xhaka? Yeah, going to be a yellow card. Xhaka's shown yellow. And all of a sudden, the yellow cards are starting to mount up on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels too hyped, everything at the moment. And I think Mikel Arteta, I've noticed that there's another 10-15% in on his usual levels. Decisions like that from Xhaka to try and win that ball. I love the commitment, I love the energy that Arsenal was showing, but there's moments where you just got to step off that in a game. You cannot win that ball. You're throwing yourself into a tackle that you're only going to get a yellow card just before half-time on a wet, windy night in the middle of the midfield. You've got to be careful now. All of a sudden, your decision-making process has to adapt to that yellow card. 5 yellow cards in total, and discipline is certainly the watchword for both sets of players tonight, as the rain still hasn't relented. Newcastle United unsettling the rhythm of Arsenal, a little bit similar to what Leeds did to Newcastle at the weekend, actually. 10 yards in from the touchline on the right-hand side, almost midway through the Arsenal half. It's a free kick, headed away by Gabriel. Well, actually, it drops back inside the penalty area. Gabriel, a second header, cleared, only as far as Guimaraes. Comes to Willop, sliced it, tried the back heel, didn't quite come off. Dug out by White on the edge of the area. Newcastle try and win it back. No foul. Odegaard now picks it up. Odegaard out towards Martinelli. It's played behind him. He keeps the ball in play though on that left-hand side. Martinelli darts forward. Newcastle though quick to get so many black and white striped shirts back there, defensively helping out. They do have the best defensive record in the top flight. The fewest amount of goals. They've only conceded 11 all season. And Eddie Howe is urging his side not to sit too deep. The Arsenal supporters are urging Arsenal forward, but at the minute they're still inside their own half. Surprised that Odegaard just didn't slip that pass in behind a moment ago. Martinelli had his hands up in the air, he got on his bike and just wanted it in behind.
Looks offside against Wilson. It is, there's the late flag. Big chance at Old Trafford, Will Perry.
Big chance for the visitors. Still Manchester United 1, Bournemouth 0, but Solanke, cooked ball in, glancing header wide, should have scored. He's scored once every 4 Premier League games this season. He's gone 3 without a goal, so he's due one. And Anthony bursting into the box. Brilliant save from De Gea, but the offside flag was up. 1-0 United.
Thanks, Will. BBC Radio 5 live with 60 seconds remaining of this first half. Saka on this near side, the right. White going ahead of him on the overlap. Joel Linton comes over, and then the assistant referee has said that that will actually be a goal kick to Newcastle United, and it's still 0-0.
Surprisingly, but when you look at it, there hasn't been that many clear efforts on goal. No. Neither goalkeepers really had much to do, have they? It's all been about the franticness, the intensity, the ability to press and run in the middle of the park and really just try and get a foothold. It's been a little bit too frantic, so maybe that quality's just suffered a little bit.
We'll find out very soon. how much added on time there will be at the end of the first half. There have been a couple of stoppages as Botman tight behind Nketiah. Guimaraes now inside the centre circle. Back it goes to Trippier. Trippier goes further back towards Cher, and now it's back with the Newcastle United goalkeeper Pope, who spreads a diagonal ball out towards Byrne. Did ever so well to bring that under control. 2 minutes of added on time, which we're now into here on 5 Live. Newcastle have given away. Joe Linton, though, helps win it back. Wilson was pulled back a little bit by Partey. The referee... The Arsenal fans are not happy with the referee, but I don't think there have been too many decisions that Andy Madley has made that you'd actually go, I disagree with that, when I thought he's refereed the game well under pressure. Yeah, no,
I agree. I think he gave a yellow card to Nketiah, which again was for a little bit of a tug back with his hand, which I felt was a bit harsh. They didn't like that, but other than that, it's not been an easy game for a referee, has it? It's been one of those matches that you've eyes in the back of your head. And he's got most of the decisions pretty much up bang on.
Free kick by Trippier. Wilson trying to get there. He's scored in each of his first 3 Premier League games against Arsenal. He's gone 7 since without a goal. As Byrne delivers a quick cross in from the left-hand side, only partially cleared, comes out towards Longstaff on the stretch on the edge of the area. He was closed down very quickly by Xhaka. It was a good challenge actually by the Swiss international. Sensed the danger and the ball's gone behind, and Newcastle United have got a corner kick in stoppage time now.
Yeah, interesting situation. Arsenal done a lot of the driving work in this first half, trying to take the game to Newcastle, and it's just typical. These kind of moments is where you really need to tune in just before half time. Don't let that work go to waste and concede now.
So Newcastle United in the swirling rain, playing from right to left. On this near side the left have a corner kick. Trippier to take it. Will be an in-swinger from the England international. His right arm is aloft, in it goes now. Glancing towards the far post, Joe Linton threw himself at it. And it's gone behind and out for a goal kick. It came at him very, very quickly.
It's the speed, wasn't it? Real glancing header. But he was at that back post area, picked up a great position where any goal scorer wants to be. Just tap-ins there, and it is very close. It is a considerable miss from Joe Linton.
Well, the half-time whistle has sounded, and there were boos and jeers from the Arsenal supporters. But that will be directed towards referee Andy Madley, who's just having a word now with Xhaka. But it's certainly been a competitive game, played with a real intensity, very frantic at times. But when you come to clear-cut chances, Xhaka side-netting early on, Gabriel had a header off target, and Wilson and Joe Linton have had half chances maybe for Newcastle United.
Yeah, I think I just feel like Arsenal need to calm it down a little bit. Love the passion, love the intensity, but there's moments where it's just got to simmer and let their quality shine. It's been a little bit too frantic in this first half, but credit to Newcastle for weathering that early storm. I mean, they really did come out of the blocks, Arsenal, try and punish Newcastle early on, and credit to them for settling into the game and coping with it.
No goals, but it's been enjoyable. Half-time then at the Emirates, Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 0.
No goals, which means that there's even more emphasis on the performance of the referee. That's what everybody's talking about, is Andy Madley. 6 yellow cards in that first half. Jason on social media, Matt, says Andy Madley's lost control of this. He gave 1 cheap yellow, and now he's pressured into giving 1 for every challenge. Saliba and Saka in particular need to be careful, because they'll miss the next game against Spurs if they get another yellow card. But you were saying you think they're pretty much justified. He's not like an English incarnation of Antonio Mateo Lahoff.
I think early on he got a little bit carried away, and there was a couple of tackles early on. I wasn't too sure about the Nketiah yellow card. It's a foul, but it's one of those where it's a talking to for me, and behave yourself. It's in an area of the pitch that hasn't really affected anything, and I think just little moments like that, sometimes you've got to referee the conditions as well, Kelly, and I know that sounds silly and it shouldn't be special dispensation for players when it's raining or windy, but the speed of this game, how it's been played in the conditions do come into play, and I think just not allow the game to go out of control with reckless tackles, but just be a little bit more. I don't think he's far wrong though. I wouldn't start jumping on him and saying he's had an absolute nightmare, but a couple of those challenges maybe he just made a bit of a rod for his own back.
And it did just start to get a little bit fiery towards the end, but the energy in that first half, particularly at the start from Arsenal, and I heard you saying at the beginning, you could tell the intensity. This is something that they're fighting for. They can see that 10-point gap, and that's what they're focusing on.
Oh, it's absolutely bubbling here. It really is, in terms of that. It's sometimes bubbling over the top, and I think that you'd probably see a more polished performance if they just steady that down a little bit. I love the fact they feel that way. It's a group of players, a lot of young players in this situation, a young manager, and you can tell the energy's there. You know, there's absolutely no question. In the crowd, supporters are enjoying it. They're getting on every decision. They're trying to impact the game. But that composure, that quality that Arsenal have shown, they need a little bit more of that, and I think it will come if they just settle down in this second half.
There have been a couple of chances for Newcastle. How much of a threat do you think they've posed?
Yeah, I think they've posed a decent threat. I'm more impressed with how they've coped at the back, and how the attacking from wide areas, how they've defended those 1v1s. The two centre-backs, Shah and Botman, have been solid. I think Nketiah's played well. There's been a lot of good stuff. There's a lot to look at, and it's been a really entertaining first half. But I think it's only one shot on target from either team. Neither's really troubled the goalkeeper. So that's the one part of the game that's missing, is just that quality or the creative, that final pass to create a real goal-scoring opportunity.
Matthew Upson and Ian Dennis are at the Emirates for a commentary match this evening. It's Arsenal against Newcastle. 4 Premier League matches, 3 of them, including Arsenal-Newcastle, 7:45 kickoffs. 8 o'clock kickoff at Old Trafford, where Manchester United lead Bournemouth 1-0. Will Perry.
Just under 10 minutes to the break here, Kelly, and Manchester United have a free kick in a very dangerous position. It's on the edge of the D, just to the right, after Casemiro was fouled by Billing on the edge of the box, and it looks like it's going to be Christian Eriksen who's going to try and bend this one over the wall. Rashford stood there as well just before that, a ball into the box, into the 6-yard box where Rashford was lurking. Excellent bit of defending from Kelly, who managed to clear it, albeit unorthodoxly. Michael Salisbury blows the whistle. Still, we don't know whether it'll be Rashford or Eriksen who takes it. They're clustered next to this ball as we wait for them to have a shot at goal. Here's Eriksen, right-footed, hits the top of the Bournemouth wall, out for a corner. 1-0 United.
Will, thank you very much for that. Will Perry will bring us updates on that. The half-time whistle has gone at Goodison Park. Chris Coles.
A new year, but the same old Everton problems. Everton 0, Brighton 1. It's a deserved advantage for the visitors, given to them by Kaoru Mitoma, the Japanese international's 4th of the season, capitalising on Nathan Patterson's misjudgment to calmly finish into the bottom corner. Further opportunities too, the best for Evan Ferguson, the 18-year-old on his first start, hitting a post after his smart left-foot volley. Excellent technique. He was very unlucky. Roberto De Zerbi made 4 changes to this side. It surprised many, but they remain very, very fluid. Everton started well. Crowd behind them. Alex Iwobi's shot well saved by Robert Sanchez. But that's really been as good as it got for Everton. Dominic Calvert-Lewin looks isolated. The fans are getting frustrated. A lot of their anger has been directed at the referee Andre Mariner, who's let an awful lot go. But all the optimism from that excellent draw at Manchester City has evaporated after that first 45 minutes, which sees Brighton have that 1-goal lead. Everton 0, Brighton 1.
Chris, often you get a sort of flatness after the opposition have scored within the home crowd, but the Everton fans, you're saying, are getting frustrated with this performance, because although they got the 1-0 draw against Manchester City, that wasn't at home in front of their own fans, and this is what they've seen before the break for the World Cup. Yeah, absolutely. Their home form in particular has really cost them this season. They've not lost 3 in a row at home in 2 years, and that is what's facing them here tonight. When they went behind, Kelly, you didn't get the sense that the fans had lost faith in the players. The support by and large has been very good towards the players. You sense the anger has come not necessarily at Frank Lampard, but those above Frank Lampard in the Everton hierarchy. They're giving the players the support. There were boos at half-time. I fancy though more towards the referee and not necessarily the performance of the players, but Frank Lampard has decisions to make at half-time. He does have firepower on the bench. He does have the likes of Neil Maupay, formerly of Brighton and Hove Albion. Ellis Sims has just been recalled from a loan spell at Sunderland. Yes, he was scoring in the Championship. It's a different level in the Premier League. The fans have not lost faith in the players, but they just need to see an awful lot more from their team, especially going forward. And the worry is Brighton look assured, as they have done all season. They play with such brilliant fluidity whenever they go forward. Kaoru Mitoma looks dangerous. He's got his goal. Evan Ferguson looks really bright, 18 years of age, his first start.
As the cliche goes, Kelly, the next 10-15 minutes, or certainly the first 10-15 minutes after the break, the next goal is absolutely massive.
Chris, thank you very much. Chris Coles will bring us news of any goals that go in at Goodison when the second half does get underway. Half-time, meanwhile, at the King Power, it's Leicester against Fulham. Lee Blakeman.
Interesting that we were just talking about the fans there at Everton, because Leicester booed off, Kelly. Leicester 0, Fulham 1. Mitrovic with the goal that separates the two teams here. Willian's ball in. Mitrovic allowed far too much time and space to take a touch and then drill it hard and low past Danny Ward. Since then, Leicester have had chances, some big chances. Perez firing over, unmarked at the back post, 6 yards out, cleared the crossbar, an Albrighton ball across the face of goal. All it needed was a faint touch, didn't get one and went all the way through, and Castagna headed narrowly wide at the end of the half. Leicester with more injury problems as well. Daka missed tonight's game because of injury. Dewsbury Hall was injured in the warm-up. Sumari went off injured early on, which is why Albrighton is on at the moment. Leicester heading for a third straight defeat. Fulham a third straight win, because at half-time it's Leicester 0, Fulham 1.
Lee, as you're saying though, the crowd are getting frustrated, but there have been chances for Leicester.
Oh, loads of them. The one in particular, Kelly, that I just can't get past is the one from Perez. Leicester did everything right. They've looked brilliant in the build-up. From midfield until they've got to the final third, they've looked superb on occasions tonight. Tielemans out wide, ball in, the perfect cross. Perez in the perfect position, nobody around him at the back post. We were all just waiting for the net to bulge here, and he cleared the crossbar by such a distance. I think the ball nearly landed in Nottingham. An awful miss from Perez. But the fans getting restless here. You just wonder what it's going to take for them to turn. They've been in worrying positions before. I remember doing a game on a Monday night for 5 Live earlier this season, the big East Midlands derby between Leicester and Nottingham Forest. Leicester under massive pressure that night had the answers and ran out 4-0 winners. At the moment, with all the injury problems that Leicester have, you wonder if they've got enough firepower to come up with more of those answers, because they certainly need them at the moment.
Yeah, and they're only 3 points above Nottingham Forest in the Premier League table as things stand. Lee, thank you very much for that. So, just to recap, at half-time, Leicester trailing by a 1-0 at home to Fulham. Everton also 1-0 down at home to Brighton. Our commentary matches at the Emirates, where Arsenal and Newcastle are drawing 0-0, and what's a pretty fiery encounter. Back there for the second half very shortly, and we'll bring you the half-time report of Manchester United against Bournemouth, with United leading by a 0-0. That one was an 8 o'clock kickoff, so just approaching half-time in that one. We'll bring you all the very latest half-time scores in just a second, and we're also saying happy birthday to Sports Report, the iconic show first broadcast 75 years ago today. If you missed last night's special programme celebrating the show, it's now available as a podcast. Just head over to BBC Sounds and search for 75 years of Sports Report. Now, though, it's time for the BBC News with Jill Mackenzie.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you. Good evening. The government says it's doing everything possible to resolve pressures on NHS services after renewed criticism about long waits for emergency care. Health leaders say the current problems are down to long-term staffing and funding issues, not just the pandemic. Our deputy political editor is Vicky Young.
There are lots of issues which are outside of the government's control, but I think the problem is for the Conservative Party, having been in power for 12 years, it is difficult for them to avoid at least some of the blame for what is going on. And the danger, of course, is that this winter crisis goes on to become a spring crisis, and that actually there end up being longer term problems that need to be dealt with.
Only a fifth of trains have been running in England, Scotland and Wales today, with the same expected tomorrow. RMT union members are staging a 48-hour strike over pay and conditions. They'll walk out again on Friday and Saturday. The Transport Secretary Mark Harper says the union should get back to negotiations, but the RMT has accused the government of blocking a deal. Hospitality UK says the disruption caused by the rail strikes will cost the industry £2.5 billion. Kate Nichols is its CEO.
In the run-up to Christmas, it was down 29% on 2019 levels, and as much as 49 to 59% in the city centres that were particularly badly affected by train strikes. The industry is incredibly frustrated that this has been dragging on for 8 months. We've had a long-term impact on sales, but also there's a long-term impact on consumer confidence and willingness to book going forward.
A woman who lied to police, claiming she'd been groomed and exploited by an Asian gang, has been found guilty of perverting the course of justice. 22-year-old Eleanor Williams from Barrow-in-Furness falsely accused some real people and made up other supposed abusers. And Pelé has been laid to rest at a private family ceremony. Thousands of mourners lined the streets of the Brazilian city of Santos to watch his funeral procession earlier.
On BBC iPlayer.
Well, the last few years all seemed a bit easier somehow, hasn't it? We move on, don't we?
Catherine Kaywood is back, and so is an old enemy.
Got some intel for you from the prison. You're not going to like it.
Tommy Lee Royce. How do?
He's a narcissist. He's a psychopath. He's using you, and you're letting him.
I get it's complicated, but he's my dad.
The final series of Happy Valley.
What I'd like is for you and me to spend some time together.
Continues on BBC iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sport with Kelly Cates.
Back to the Emirates very shortly for the second half of Arsenal against Newcastle. No goals, but 5 yellow cards in the first half of that one. Second half coming up. And they're just approaching half-time at Old Trafford. Man United against Bournemouth. Will Perry.
Yeah, we're in added time. Manchester United 1, Bournemouth 0. Casemiro's volley midway through the first half, the difference. But Senesi slipped as he challenged Van der Beek, clattering into the Dutchman's right knee, wriggling in pain for a couple of minutes. You could really see the agony on his face. He got back to his feet, couldn't continue. He's limped down the tunnel, replaced by Garnacho just before the break. As it stands, Manchester United level on points with third place Newcastle. Manchester United 1, Bournemouth 0.
Well, thank you very much. As soon as the half-time whistle goes, we will let you know in that match. We're also across all this evening's Premier League action. Everton trailing 1-0 at home to Brighton. Leicester 1-0 down at home to Fulham. Regular updates from there, but our commentary match is Arsenal against Newcastle at the Emirates. Matthew Upson and Ian Dennis are there. Matt, we talked about the chances that Arsenal have created in that first half. And I know you were really impressed with that Newcastle defence. That's now a clean sheet in the first half in their last 14 Premier League games. And while we always focus on their attacking talent, it's built on a really solid defence.
It's an amazing record, isn't it? To be honest, I mean that is a brilliant record for the goalkeeper, centre-backs, full-backs, and for the whole team. It's a real team effort, but I'm so impressed with how solid Botman and Shara and Dan Burn. He's got a tricky evening against Saka, 1v1s in those wide areas, and he just manages to cope well enough. Whether or not we'll see in this second half Saka hit another gear and maybe be the difference, but so far they've done excellent.
So the managers making their way out to the dugouts. The players are pretty much set for the second half at the Emirates. Taking you through it, Matt and Ian Dennis.
Have you noticed, Matt, that the last time we saw Lady Kelly was in the desert? It was nice and warm and not ventured out of the studio tonight.
I know.
Yeah.
She used to enjoy coming to the grounds.
I always thought she was a team player.
Now it's just a different story.
Yeah. Anyway, neither side.
The Wicked Witch of the East dissolve in the rain.
Neither side has made a change as the second half is underway, and Arsenal in their red and white shirts and white shorts are playing from right to left, and they line up with Ramsdale in goal, the back four of white, Gabriel, Saliba and Zinchenko, Xhaka, Partey and Ødegaard, Saka and Nketiah and Martinelli. Give you the Newcastle side in a moment. They have actually reached half-time now at Old Trafford. Manchester United do lead Bournemouth by 1-0 in that 8 o'clock kickoff. Zinchenko tried to drill the ball in low. It's cleared by Newcastle United. Almiron is giving it away. Xhaka, Swiss international, back towards Partey. Partey midway through the Newcastle United half. Short to his left, Zinchenko rolls it forward, and Nketiah enters the penalty area, and Nketiah with his head down can't get a sight of goal. He does pull it back to Ødegaard. Willock got there first with a clearance, and it's clattered away by Longstaff. So Newcastle United have Pope in goal, Trippier, Schär, Botman and Burn, Willock, Guimaraes and Longstaff, Almiron, Wilson and Joel Linton. 5 yellow cards from Andy Madley in that first half. The rain, however, appears to have eased on a blustery night in North London. It'll still be a little bit greasy in terms of the playing surface, but at least the rain appears to have stopped, because it wasn't particularly pleasant for the players down there at the minute. And Arsenal with Zinchenko, Again, he's done well. He's picked out Xhaka. Turns. Ødegaard. They've got 2 over on the right. One of them is Nketiah. Saka looking towards Nketiah. Cut out. Willett. Cleared.
The first touch from Martin Ødegaard there in the midfield is absolutely brilliant. This ball skipping into him with real pace, and he just cushions it with his right foot and then finds the pass.
Ødegaard can't get a sight of goal. He was quickly crowded out by 3 Newcastle United players. The referee has played in an advantage there as Wilson runs over the halfway line. Fouled by Xhaka. Pushed over from the back. Xhaka actually was one of the players on a yellow card.
That's what I thought when I saw it.
It was a blatant two-handed push on the back of Wilson.
I'm sure he's got a yellow, Xhaka from the first half, and I tell you what, 2 hands on the back of an opponent when you're behind, well, he doesn't really shove him. I think the referee's close enough just to see the level of the contact, but his hands are up and he trips him from behind, and that was a yellow card in the first half. No?
Yes,
100%.
Yeah. One wonders if he hadn't been booked, would he have then shown the yellow card?
Yeah.
There was certainly no attempt to play the ball from Granit Xhaka. Potential lucky escape for the Arsenal player. 3 minutes into the second half. Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 0. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live, whether it be on the wireless or indeed through the BBC Sounds app. Trippier to take the free kick for Newcastle. Right-footed. Cher with his header towards the far post, onto the roof of the net and out of play for a goal kick.
I'm not sure if he realised how good a spot he was in there, Cher, with that. He got up free of any challenge at the back post and should do better with his header. The ball's flighted right across the back. Whether or not there was an offside shout, maybe, but did do the best with the header.
Ramsdale caught dallying in possession by Joelinton. Newcastle United now with Guimaraes, goes down under a challenge from Partey. Longstaff. Arsenal's outfield players have actually done well to protect their goalkeeper there after that error. Just a little bit too hesitant, the England international. Rolled into the path of Almiron. Almiron across the 6-yard area towards Wilson. Couldn't get a touch.
Wow.
Real threatening moments from Newcastle United.
What a pass from Kieran Trippier as well. Very similar to the kind of link-up that White and Saka have. That telepathy between Trippier and Almiron was clear to see there. Great ball from Trippier, and Almiron very nearly creating a goal for Newcastle.
See, when Kelly at half-time read out some of the tweets to 5 Live Sport on the old social media, and they were saying the referee's lost the game.
Yeah.
Again, there was a foul on Saka. He let the game flow. He's tried to let it flow at every opportunity.
Yeah, no, I think he's tried to do that. The clearest one was the Ødegaard yellow card, where he's allowed it to play on, brought it back and booked him for pulling his shirt from behind. It's a booking. You can't do that somebody goes past you. You can't grab them and pull their shirt and impede them. So, you know, there's a couple that I think it would be really picky to criticise him, and he's got a lot right. So the balance is, for me, that he's done well in this game so far, the referee.
Matt Upson with us on 5 Live. Willock. Strong run down the left-hand side, charging forward, now level with the penalty area. Wilson waits inside the penalty area. White gets a foot on the cross. Newcastle get it back out towards Joelinton. Guimaraes, central position, sends over across towards the right. Almiron on the volley, hits it back first time. Partey heads it away just inside the Arsenal penalty area. Now it's Arsenal who have everybody back behind the ball. Trippier to Almiron. Almiron to Guimaraes. Longstaff lets it run through towards Almiron. Gabriel slides. Longstaff picks up the pieces for Newcastle United. Back towards Trippier. Just think, January of last year, Newcastle United was second bottom. There was something like 10, 12 points adrift of Leeds United. And they had that flirtation with relegation. Eddie Howe cites the win at Ellen Road, a 1-0 win. John Joe Shelby with the only goal of the game in January last year as a turning point, a catalyst. And now here they are. They've been transformed from relegation candidates to European contenders, and even some are saying they're in with a shout of the title. That's how far Newcastle United have progressed in these 12 months under Eddie Howe.
Well, I think the confidence has progressed in this game as it's gone on. They've come out in this second half, I think, a more confident version of themselves and how they started the game, and that says a lot. They took a bit of a pounding early on, but they've certainly grown into this match.
Ødegaard, and we all know how far Arsenal have grown when you think back to the toxic start to last season. And what was it, 3 straight defeats as there's a Newcastle United player down, and the Arsenal supporters aren't happy. And Arsenal, with a run of 3 games against Newcastle, Spurs and Manchester United to come, the last 3 teams to have actually beaten Arsenal in the league. And at the minute, Newcastle are holding the league leaders. 0-0 here, Leicester 0, Fulham 1, Manchester United 1, Bournemouth 0, another goal at Goodison. Chris Coles.
Disastrous start to the second half for Everton. Brighton have a second goal. What a few days Evan Ferguson is having. The 18-year-old got his first Brighton goal against Arsenal, rewarded with his first start tonight, and he scored again, tapping in from 6 yards. Goodison Park is not a happy place. Everton 0, Brighton 2.
In fact, Ferguson and Matoma, who've got the goals tonight for Brighton, were both on the score sheet at the weekend, and for Everton that would be 7 without a win in all competitions. They're just a point above the relegation zone. Leicester 0, Fulham 1, Manchester United 1, Bournemouth 0, 0-0 here. We're with you through until 10:30. Tomorrow night, Crystal Palace Tottenham is our commentary, and then Chelsea Manchester City on Thursday, and on Friday at 1 o'clock, another chance to hear the excellent programme last night where Mark Chapman looks back at 75 years of Sports Report. And if you can't wait till Friday, it is available on the BBC Sounds app as a podcast special. But we've been playing for 8 minutes into this second half, and it's still 0-0. Saka picks it up for Arsenal. Partey outside the centre circle. Zinchenko, early first-time ball. Xhaka plays it behind Martinelli. Martinelli, though, keeps the ball in play. Level the penalty area. Zinchenko joins the attack. Has time to have a little glance over little shoulder. Martinelli rolls the ball back to Gabriel.
I mean, a couple of times in this game, Martinelli's been played to feet. And every time the midfield players have the ball, he only wants it in one area, and that's in behind. And I think a couple of times they've just gone to feet as opposed to just sliding that ball and asking the question in behind the fullback, which is exactly where Martinelli is wanting to go every single time.
We'll get an update now from Leicester City. Lee Blakeman.
Oh, I'm going to say what I said in the first half. How are Leicester not level? Leicester 0, Fulham 1. Great ball down the left. Barnes through on goal, in behind, just Leno to beat, tried to chip him and hit it straight at him. Massive miss by Barnes. Leicester 0, Fulham 1 still.
Newcastle United still drawing here with Arsenal. Newcastle have suffered 11 straight defeats at Arsenal in all competitions since an Andy Carroll goal in November 2010. But here they're holding their own against the league leaders, who are looking to extend their advantage over Manchester City to 10 points at the top of the Premier League, as we've been playing 10 minutes in this second half. Arsenal actually only have a better record than that of Newcastle in terms of successive wins against Stoke City, with 16. A bit about, can you do it on a wet night in Stoke? Can you do it on a wet night in North London? Arsenal now looking to do exactly that with Partey. Has he overrun the ball in the centre circle? No, he's done very well. To Zinchenko, over the halfway line. Zinchenko to Xhaka. Xhaka has time to have a glance around. He finds Ødegaard. Ødegaard, though, couldn't keep it down. Inside the D of the penalty area, left-footed over the top, and we're going back to Everton, Brighton. Chris Coles.
This is turning into a calamitous evening for Frank Lampard and Everton. Everton 0, Brighton 3. Solly Marge, so easy, skipping through the defence. Defender slips in front of him. He places it past Jordan Pickford, and Brighton, with 55 minutes played, are 3-0 up at Goodison Park.
Chris says a calamitous night. That's on Sports Extra, by the way, the commentary of that. You can certainly feel the significance of this fixture inside this stadium tonight, Matt Upson.
Absolutely. It really has been a very loud atmosphere inside the Emirates, and the supporters are just desperate, aren't they? Like almost like how the team are portraying in the manager, the energy, the feeling that they need to get this 3 points to just increase that gap over Manchester City to 10 points, which, let's face it, would be unbelievable really at this stage of the season. But it's just really kind of levelling out this game. It's not a lot in it at all. I just saw Zinchenko before that you handed over to Goodison. He's hit 3 passes in this game where he's broken a line brilliantly. His passing out from the left back position, how aggressive it is into feet, is absolutely superb.
Xhaka spreads play for Arsenal, out towards Saka. Saka charging forward, challenge comes in from Joel Linton. And Joel Linton might well get a yellow card. Andy Madley is going to book the Brazilian here, I'm quite sure. Yeah, the yellow card has been drawn from his right pocket.
Well, unless he got a tiny piece of the ball, it certainly is a yellow card. I don't think he did get any of the ball. He goes to ground, really lunges flat out to try and win it, and he's just on the corner of that 18-yard box as well. Just have a quick glance at the replay. Saka's driving with the ball, and I tell you what, he might get a slight toe on that ball there, Deno. I think he maybe just grazes it. Yeah, gets a touch on that. Referee doesn't see that, but he certainly wins the ball, Joe Linton.
3 yellows apiece now, 6 yellow cards from Andy Madley. Free kick to Arsenal, right corner of the area. Saka waits to take it. Arsenal have got everybody forward. 3 wait just outside the penalty area. Newcastle United have every black and white striped shirt inside the box. Now what's gone on here? Almiron has not retreated the full 10 yards, and now he has just been booked.
It's getting a bit silly now, isn't it? The amount of bookings in this game, but that's just silly. Almiron, I mean, you can't be any clearer than a big white line drawn on the floor as to how close you can stand, and if he wants to play about and try and bend the rules in that way, then he's going to get found out, gets a silly yellow card.
Saka with a free kick, Pope with downward punch, Zinchenko on the volley, right-footed, sliced it, into the penalty area it goes, headed out, only as far as Ødegaard, lifts it back in, quite a high one, and it will be caught by Pope, straight to Everton, Chris Coles.
I cannot believe what we're witnessing here. Everton 0, Brighton 4, horrendous error from Idrissa Gueye, short back pass, Pascal Gross races through, chips it over Jordan Pickford. It's Everton 0, Brighton 4, Goodison Park is emptying rapidly. Those who are still here chanting sack the board, Everton 0, Brighton 4.
Well, what a damaging night that could be, in more ways than one, at Everton. Here, meanwhile, at the top of the table, pass it, goes square, White, forward ball towards Saka. White makes a run on the inside of him. Saka dances away from one challenge, back towards White. Newcastle have everybody back behind the ball. We're still at 0-0 here as we approach the first quarter of an hour in this second half. Zinchenko to Xhaka, finding space. Zinchenko inverted, the left back, very similar to what you'd see, of course, from his time at Manchester City. Back out to the left for Xhaka, edges his way forward, 30 yards out from goal. Zinchenko is free on the infield. Now it's with Partey, out towards White. Newcastle United just trying to keep their organisation at this stage. Zinchenko once again is free. Partey chips the ball forward, and Burn, Saka has actually gone down off the ball. It goes and runs through for a goal kick, 0-0, but Saka is down.
I tell you have to credit the players for the level of intensity physically that they're putting into this game. You know, it's been a heavy build-up of fixtures, but to be able to put this level of energy and running into a match is impressive. We're an hour in, and I think that could certainly factor in the end result of this game, which team is able to cope with that type of intensity, whether or not both teams will make changes soon. But Arsenal may be forced to make one because Saka hasn't got up off the floor yet.
Well, Saka is still down, and the referee is just keeping an eye on making sure that is everything all right. In the meantime, a lot of the players are taking liquid refreshment, and once again Arteta micromanaging the way that he does. He's having a word with every player. We'll take advantage of the stoppage in play. We know Everton 0, Brighton 4. Leicester Fulham, another 7:45 kick-off. Lee Blakeman.
Leicester 0, Fulham 1. Still this time Vardy's turn to miss a great chance. Played through on goal, just Leno to beat. In behind, Leno made the block with his legs. Tielemans is just fired wide from 25 yards. Leicester knocking, but Fulham have the answers. Leicester 0, Fulham 1.
Manchester United Bournemouth. Will Perrin.
Just underway in the second half. Manchester United 1, Bournemouth 0. Smith in the book early in this second 45, cleaning out Garnacho as he burst towards the box. Garnacho on for the injured Van der Beek. Rashford took the free kick straight into the wall. Manchester United 1, Bournemouth 0.
So 7 yellow cards. I wouldn't necessarily say that Andy Madley has anywhere reached the levels of Antonio Mathieu Lahoz just yet, would you? The Spanish referee, who I noticed was up to his old tricks, or his usual tricks, with Barcelona Espanyol last weekend.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're quite on those levels, but a couple of those decisions are taken out of his hands. I mean, the Joe Linton one a moment ago, he actually gets that wrong because he wins the ball. So, but it's hard because it's high speed, it's full stretch, there's only a tiny touch of the ball, so those errors can happen. You have to make those allowances sometimes.
Ball played forward over the head of Wilson, runs through towards Ramsdale. Saka is back on the pitch and able to continue. It's still goalless here at the Emirates. A vocal Emirates. 23rd of January. Burnley at home was the last time that Arsenal were involved in a goalless draw. It's been a sequence of 40 games since then. And that's what we're looking at. However, Martinelli, left corner of the area. Martinelli on the inside with a right-footed curling shot that was just patted down by Pope. Comfortable height as he bounces that ball down, overarm out towards Joe Linton on that far side. And Joe Linton loses the ball but has a second chance to win it back, and he succeeds. To Guimaraes on the inside, quickly closed down by Ødegaard and Partey in the midfield. Here is Zinchenko. Martinelli didn't really pose enough problems for Pope. There's been another goal at Old Trafford. Will Perry.
Well, this one's got to Manchester United as well. Manchester United 2, Bournemouth 0. Take a bow. Luke Shaw burst all the way from his position at left back into the Manchester United box, spun it out to Garnacho, put it on a plate for Shaw. Penalty spot, bottom left corner. Manchester United 2, Bournemouth 0.
Saka doing very well, threatening on the right-hand side, cutting inside the penalty area. It was an outstretched left boot from Joel Linton that forced the ball behind for a corner kick to Arsenal.
I mean, you just waiting in anticipation in this game for that one moment from either team, that one real piece of composure and quality. Saka doing a great job there, sits Dan Burn down, tries to drive further into the box, but the recovery tackles there, which it has been all evening from Newcastle. They've worked so hard defensively, especially from the midfield, to get out in wide areas just to help the fullbacks.
Corner kick then to Arsenal, playing from right to left, far side to right, still 0-0 here on 5 Live. Should be an in-swinging corner, and indeed it is. And Gabriel trying to get on the end of it, hooked away by Guimaraes inside his own penalty area. That bouncing ball, White does well to get there before Wilson, heads it into the path of Xhaka, who gets the return ball from Zinchenko, threads it back to the Ukrainian. Forward ball to Nketiah, back towards Xhaka, creeping forwards now are Arsenal as they go square. Newcastle United trying to quickly close them down, working so hard off the ball, out towards that right-hand side. Saka once again is the outlet. To White providing the support. Partey is on the inside, move breaks down. Newcastle United now with Willock, and Willock will run forward, and the former gunner plays it on the inside to Guimaraes. The break is on for Newcastle United, up towards Wilson, wouldn't stick, quickly loses out towards Gabriel, and Arsenal will come again. And Eddie Howe now is the one who's animated in that technical area, down on his haunches, clapping and urging the black and white striped Newcastle United players to keep on going, as Saka once again will run at Burn. Saka up against the Newcastle United left back, helped out once again by Joel Linton, plays it on the inside, and once more it breaks down, and Longstaff will bring it away. But Newcastle can't keep the ball at the moment, keeps coming back at them, and the pressure is building. Here is Zinchenko to Martinelli, up against Trippier. Trippier stands tall, good challenge, pulled back was he? Referee says no. Arsenal now with Zinchenko. Trippier thought there was a foul. Here is Xhaka, back to Zinchenko. Newcastle have everybody back behind the ball once again. Arsenal are playing from right to left. This is Gabriel. He's pointing with his right hand. He passes the ball exactly where he said it was going to go, and Nketiah is onto it, and Nketiah trying to dance his way into the penalty area. Pope quickly off his goal line, smothers and saves.
You just get the feeling it's going to have to take something a little bit special in this game, whether it's a dribble, a shot from long range, something like that, because both teams competitively are matching each other superbly. I mean, it's a great spectacle in that sense, but just those moments. Kieran Trippier, by the way, I mean, he's handled Martinelli well so far, hasn't he? That was a great tackle there. Didn't sell himself too early. It was a 1v1. He stood up and just stepped in at exactly the right moment.
Andy Madley has given a decision against Arsenal, as they're going to make a double change, are the away team. It's going to be Chris Wood coming on for Callum Wilson. So Wilson now, that'll be 8 games without a goal against Arsenal. And then the other change is going to be Almiron, who's going to be coming off, and Murphy, who's going to be coming on.
They're just walking off there. Callum Wilson taking his time. He kind of jogged away from the touchline, whether or not he knew he was going off, and just thought he'd just slow the game down, pretending to run off. And Newcastle casually making these substitutions.
Also on the bench for Newcastle United, incidentally, is Martin Dubravka, who has been recalled from his loan spell at Manchester United, and he's on the bench for Eddie Howe's side here this evening. We're midway through the second half and it's still 0-0. Free kick for Newcastle United up towards the edge of the area, aimed towards Wood, headed away, flags up, and that'll be a free kick to Arsenal. Well, if this was going to be a barometer, if you like, Matt, for Eddie Howe to see how far his side have progressed, if it stays like this, he'll be very satisfied.
Won't he? I mean, that would be a great measure. And anyone questioning whether or not you're looking at a potential Champions League position finish for Newcastle in the Premier League, then this would be the marker, wouldn't it? And so far in this game, you have to say that they look worthy of that position in the Premier League at the moment.
Also, with Almiron and Wilson going off, they were both on a yellow card of the 7 that have been brandished by Andy Madley here tonight. As a free kick, once again, has Arteta hopping mad, and then the ball was just tossed away. And once more, Andy Madley's just going to have to calm things down. He's coming under pressure from 2 or 3 of the Arsenal players. Hasn't been an easy game for the official.
No, he's had a lot of this type of thing to have to deal with. Both teams super competitive, a few little bits and pieces off the ball, shoves, tugs, and it's whether or not, you know, how far you take punishing those. If you let it flow too far, the game can spiral out of control, and then you've got a problem. But you don't want to over punish it either, because then you're brandishing too many cards. So striking that balance has not been an easy one for the referee.
Equally, if we said that Xhaka was maybe fortunate to not receive a second yellow card, Guimaraes was booked, it was he who tossed the ball away.
Yeah, so he could easily take. So I think he's using a little bit of common sense in this game.
The persistent rain falling in North London. 20 minutes remain of normal time. And it's Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 0. Gabriel on the halfway line, left of the centre circle, finds Martinelli to Zinchenko. Gabriel plays the ball inside, Partey's able to turn, spreads play with a high diagonal ball out towards Saka, doesn't keep the ball in play. I'm hearing of a great chance, but to who to at Old Trafford? Will Perry.
Still Manchester United 2, Bournemouth 0, but it should be 3-0 United. A brilliant chance from Anthony Martial. Wonderful ball in from Casemiro. There's Martial inside the 6-yard box, has to score, flashes it wide, and he's in a bit of trouble. Had a collision in the middle of all of that. 2-0 Manchester United.
Arsenal looking to go 10 points clear. They've only dropped 5 points all season, a defeat at Old Trafford and a draw at St Mary's. They were looking for 8 wins out of 8 at the start of the campaign here at the Emirates, but Newcastle United are proving to be a thorn in their side as Murphy loses the ball. Zinchenko now will run it away from him and feeds the ball towards Saka on that right-hand side. Saka right corner of the box, curls it over. Martinelli, lovely first control of the right boot. enters the penalty area, onto his left foot. Quickly closed down by Trippier, behind for a corner kick, 0-0.
Great body position. Kieran Trippier, all of his experience and know-how. I just love the distance he keeps. He's absolutely superb. He's not too close to Martinelli. He's not too far away. He's showing him the line, and he can adjust his feet and deal with it. Great defending 1v1.
Arteta wanted Martinelli to take his time with the corner kick on this left-hand side, and Martinelli has done exactly that. Newcastle have everybody back. Corner kick left-hand side. They go deep towards the far post. Byrne was there. Then volleyed away by Wood, only as far as Zinchenko. Heads the ball in front of him. Passes the ball out towards the right-hand side. Then towards Gabriel. Gabriel with a turn loses the ball and cleared away by Newcastle United and Guimaraes. And Ramsdale, all in yellow with his short-sleeve goalkeeper's jersey, has actually got time to put his foot on the ball outside the centre circle. And now he hits it downfield right-footed. But Byrne will easily win that aerial duel against Saka. That was a loose pass by Joel Linton. And Nketiah tried to dart forward, stopped. And then Joel Linton plays it forward and out towards that far side. And all of a sudden now it's with Willock, who's playing in that advanced role on the left, who has an opportunity to run forward for Newcastle United. Down by the corner flag, runs in towards the penalty area now at the byline. Doesn't win the corner kick. Combination of White and Partey have cleared the ball away. Fascinating contest.
Brilliant contest, isn't it? I mean, it really is, the energy and the effort, and Arsenal just really starting to dominate this second half. The odd flurry from Newcastle, but really all the pressure is coming from Arsenal, and it's going to be fascinating to see if Newcastle can hold out.
Let's go back to Old Trafford. Will Perry.
3 De Gea saves, 2 brilliant ones. The first to keep out a Billing header, which Billing should have done much better from, to be fair. A Cook header as well was held by the Spaniard. But just as you come to me there, Jadon Anthony, an excellent De Gea outstretched left hand to keep it at 2-0.
Joel Linton is... well, there was no... I think VAR would have maybe had a look at it, but the Saka had gone down holding his face, but the referees decided no action to be taken. Plays back underway. Arsenal are going to be making a change. Here is Murphy on this right-hand side. Still 0-0 on BBC Radio 5 Live. We're also available through the BBC Sounds app. And Trippier intelligently plays the ball off the heels of Zinchenko to win a corner kick for Newcastle United.
I mean, how many times does Trippier want to have that ball first time? He tries to nutmeg the player on purpose, doesn't he, with that pass. Just tries to pass it through the legs into the corner of the 18-yard box for any runners from midfield, and got a deflection off of Zinchenko, and he's now on the corner flag with the out-swinging opportunity with his right foot to whip one in the box.
29 minutes played in the second half. Trippier corner kick for Newcastle United. It's an outswinger aimed towards Joel Linton. Referee's blown his whistle. It'll be a free kick to Arsenal. Tomiyasu is waiting to come on. Wood has prevented Arsenal from taking that quick free kick, and Cher is still down inside the penalty area. And you know, when we were talking about the filthy conditions here in North London weather-wise, and I said it's not a night to be bare-chested, and I doubt even the Newcastle fans will be bare-chested.
Have you spotted someone?
If you look just behind the corner flag, he's got his arms open wide now.
Yeah, I've got him.
There is a chap bare-chested.
There you go. We need to lend him your fisherman's jumper, don't we? And just warm him up a little bit.
I'm not too sure it would fit him. Tomiyasu is going to be coming on, and the player who's going to be coming off is Ben White.
Yeah, I think Ben White just picked up a little injury in that tackle a moment ago. Really good recovery challenge, and he got up and didn't look quite right in kind of his hip or something possibly. But he's been good. Another good solid performance. Looks kind of suited to that right back role. Don't know if he's too happy with that or not. I think he's enjoying himself and playing some good football, but really, especially in the first half, got forward very quickly, didn't he?
He did, and Tomiyasu has come on to replace him, the Japanese international. Elsewhere, it's Everton 0, Brighton 4, Leicester City 0, Fulham 1, Manchester United 2, Bournemouth 0. But here in the top of the table, first against third, it remains Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 0. Gabriel on the halfway line. Partey. Zinchenko has to go back. Can't really recall any clear-cut opportunities in this second period.
No.
I mean, that's how tight it's been. But here is Xhaka, able to turn and charge forward. Xhaka plays it out to Martinelli. Martinelli forced a fraction out wide, left-hand side of the penalty area. Back towards Zinchenko. Forward ball. Xhaka to Martinelli. Comes onto the ball. Martinelli now down towards the byline. And it was patted down by Pope. In fact, he just had that curling effort that Pope had saved earlier on. Probably that's been about it.
I would say that is about it. And it's not really, it didn't challenge Pope at all, did it? That it was very comfortable to just to collect the ball. And football matches are won and lost in both boxes, but this match has been all about the play outside of both boxes, in the centre of the pitch and in wide areas, and second balls and tackles, and how quickly you can move the ball through the lines. It's been so competitive.
There was a time when Newcastle United just didn't gain anything when they came to the capital. Seem to recall a stat of about 28, 29 games, probably in the days of Sir Bobby Robson. Well, they've won their last two in London at Fulham and Tottenham, and here they are continuing to frustrate Arsenal. But Saka, the outlet on the right-hand side, keeps the ball in play as we have 13 minutes of normal time remaining. Saka's gone the long way around to Zinchenko. Ripple of applause for his efforts to Martinelli.
There can't be many better players at shrugging off a challenge than Saka at the moment. The way he uses his body, just steps across the defender and just almost like rides the contact, doesn't he? Does it so well while he keeps momentum and keeps the balance to dribble with the ball. It's incredible sometimes.
Xhaka heads it on. Martinelli runs in behind. Challenge was a very good one from Cher. He's a player who's really blossomed under Eddie Howe, and he's forced the ball behind for a corner kick. But Arsenal are knocking. If there's one side that's going to win it, it's going to be the league leaders. 12 minutes remaining. Still 0-0. BBC Radio 5 Live. Martinelli to take it. Near side the left. Martinelli fisted away by Pope. Only as far as Xhaka crosses the ball back into the danger area. Headed away by Wood. Comes out to Saka. 30 yards out from goal. Rolls it to Xhaka, just in from that touchline. Plays it to Ødegaard. Arsenal looking to knock on the door. Saka fires in the cross, comes off a Newcastle player. Pope didn't keep the ball in play despite his best efforts, and he holds on to the ball. It's another corner kick. That pressure's building once more, Matt Upson.
Yeah, it wasn't a particularly convincing punch from Pope on the previous cross. Almost a glancing punch, didn't get a lot of purchase on the ball, so whether or not Arsenal just applying the pressure now.
Ødegaard flicked on by Martinelli and just drops wide. Corner kick right-hand side. Martinelli with a little flick header at the near post, and it must have dropped very, very close to that far post. The left-hand post as we look. Goal kick 0-0.
Well, I think the Arsenal players are all looking round to see who should be at the back post. I mean, that is a striker's position if ever I've seen one. Brilliant glancing header. It just needs a player in that back post area. It's just a 1 yard tap in, but there's nobody there. Everybody got drawn to the ball or the edge of the box, but that ideal situation with a flick on at the near post just for an arriving player to finish the move off.
Arsenal have failed to win the title in each of the last 4 seasons when they were top at the turn of the year. 02-03, 07-08, 13-14 and 15-16. A point would see them go 8 points ahead of Manchester City, who come here on the 15th of February. They've got the small matter of Tottenham away and Manchester United at home later this month before that. But 10 minutes remaining in this second half, and there is still yet to be a goal at the Emirates, but nobody's leaving early. Every Arsenal supporter is trying to play their part as Nketiah loses the ball on the halfway line to Joel Linton against his hard-working Newcastle United side. And Guimaraes out towards Murphy. Murphy now running forward at pace with Menace, right-hand side, blocked, comes out towards Trippier, delivers a first-time cross just over the head of Wood. Saliba will let it run out of play for I think he thought a goal kick, but the referee's actually said it's a corner.
Yeah, it was a clear deflection from the cross from Trippier, because the ball just kind of looped up in the air, all the pace came off of it, and it dropped down in the corner of the 6 yard box and has run out of play.
Well, in front of that strong, loyal travelling support from the northeast. Trippier gets a real ovation from the Newcastle supporters as he prepares to take the corner kick on the left-hand side. 9 minutes remaining of normal time. Ramsdale is being crowded inside a very busy 6-yard area, played in low by Trippier, kept in play, back to Trippier it goes, delivers it once more, Zinchenko heads it up rather than away, ball that drops to the edge of the area. Willock will pass it out towards Cher, who lifts the ball high. Tomiyasu was struggling, and Ramsdale and Xhaka, between them, actually marshalled the ball safely to run out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, I think they did really well together there. It was a difficult bouncing ball. Dan Burn winning that really tricky up and under. The ball was spinning in the sky, swirling with the wind, drops down in the box. Burn gets the header, heads it towards the back post, and that could have easily been a real collision or a bit of a muddle for the Arsenal defence, but they just ushered the ball out, didn't panic. You know, there must have been a good bit of communication between the two at the back post there.
Ball lifted over the top. Pope will get there. In fact, Pope will just drop his shoulder and it will go out of play for a goal kick. Who's come close to a goal at Leicester? Well, Lee Blakeman.
Leicester so close to an equaliser. It's still 1-0 Fulham. A Perez corner headed away. Tielemans' shot come crashing off the crossbar. 10 to go. Fulham 1 up.
We have about 7.5 minutes to go. The last time that Arsenal failed to score at home was March against Liverpool. There's been 15 games since then here at the Emirates, and you can certainly see Newcastle United have got the best defensive record in the top flight, because they really have restricted Arsenal to few opportunities here this evening.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the two centre-backs for Newcastle as well. They've been very solid.
Could be a sting in the tail yet. Willock running away on that left-hand side. He's held up, left corner of the area, back towards Burn. They're still committing men forward in their black and white striped shirts. Guimaraes gets away from the challenge of Ødegaard, plays it square towards Longstaff. Longstaff now towards Trippier. So both fullbacks are pushed on. Willock's just testing his hamstrings actually on the far side. Not participating and not active at the moment, as Murphy's played round the back, and then Murphy's cross. And there is Willock, but Willock's still doing his exercises and doesn't realise that the ball has actually bounced over him as he was stretching. Willock's not in a position to continue.
I think he's pulled up with cramp there. It looks to be cramp, and he just can't carry on.
Xhaka spreads it out. Martinelli races onto it, left-hand side. Martinelli enters the penalty area now, still 0-0. Martinelli waits, pulls it back. Ødegaard's missed it. Xhaka just couldn't move his legs. It was away from him in the penalty box, and Newcastle able to get the ball away. Some tired limbs at the end of this festive period, but both sides still at it. 6 minutes to go, 0-0. Ødegaard urged on by the Arsenal crowd. Tomiyasu joins the attack. Saka out wide. Saka right-hand side. Tomiyasu's gone ahead of him. Saka cuts inside. Edge of the area, pulls it back. Partey tries to place it right-footed. Comes back towards Partey. Ødegaard can't get a sight of goal at the moment. Edge of the box, tries to dink it into the path of Nketiah. Nketiah, was he wrestled there? Was he impeded by the Newcastle defender? Referee Andy Madley had a good view of it. Long-range effort from Gabriel, bounces back to him. Arsenal now knocking at the door. 5 minutes to go to half-time, 0-0. Martinelli, he goes square. Partey, Gabriel, camped outside the Newcastle penalty area now. All backs to the wall if you're in black and white. Martinelli, down towards the byline, low ball, easily cleared away by Cher. Out of play, goes for a throw.
Well, I said after an hour or so, whether or not fatigue will play a part in this game, and the fitness levels and the competitiveness has been at the highest end that you can see in any game, especially at this time of year. And you're just starting to see a couple of players really suffer. Xhaka there just couldn't move his feet then, could he? The ball was coming towards him, and it's almost like they were just stuck in the ground.
Well, Willock has stayed down in the penalty area. The Arsenal supporters aren't happy with the time-wasting efforts of Newcastle United. What about what the Arsenal fans, and clearly Arteta with his actions, feel that Nketiah was impeded a potential penalty?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Botman just stands up. You know, you saw Nketiah do it the other day to Kehrer against West Ham, where he used his body, allowed the ball to run across him, bounced him, and a really swift turn. He tried to do the same there, but Botman got the right side and basically just stood his ground. And I think the referee's spot on.
10 successive home games they've won in the Premier League. since Brighton triumphed here in April. A winning sequence that might be coming to an end if Newcastle United can continue to frustrate. But Willock is unable to continue, and with 4 minutes remaining of normal time, we're going to have Saint-Maximin, who really has been used as an impact sub of late, Alan Saint-Maximin, and Willock is being told to get quickly off the field of play by Gabriel. So Willock is off, Saint-Maximin is on. I would imagine that Joel Linton now will drop back into more of a midfield role for Saint-Maximin to take up that position wide left. 3.5 minutes remain.
Yeah, Joe Linton's gone straight into the central area with Saint-Maximin just on that left side of a 5, really across the middle.
Cries of Red Army as Arsenal with Xhaka. Little flick towards Nketiah with a shot. What a save by Pope. Blocks it with his legs. Reaction stay from the England international to Zinchenko. Arsenal the closest they've come to a goal. 3 minutes remain, still 0-0. Lovely little ball played through by Xhaka, and Nketiah took it so quick. Here is Xhaka, stabs it into the path of Nketiah, unable to turn. They're appealing for handball. Andy Madley says no. VAR will naturally have a look at that one anyway. Joel Linton to Longstaff, lifts it forward. Free kick though in favour of Arsenal.
Well, the pressure really is mounting. That was the moment, that chance for Nketiah. And he doesn't do a lot wrong, Deno, really, does he? It's just a really good save by Pope with his left foot. Lovely flick round the corner from Xhaka. And just having a look back at that replay of the handball, but the flick from Xhaka is a bouncy ball. Good first touch from Nketiah, strikes it across goal, and Pope just gets his left leg out and blocks it.
2 minutes of normal time remaining. We're on air until 10:30. We'll try and bring you as much live reaction as we can as the free kick is played in. Glancing header from Nketiah, picked up by Pope. And if we can't get it through to you tonight before Colin Murray's programme, then it'll be in the 5 Live Football Daily podcast, available in the usual outlets. Here is Murphy, the substitute for Newcastle United. Martinelli takes it away from him, plays it back to Zinchenko. Newcastle United still working hard. Arsenal, though, still believe they can create one more opportunity. There's been a number of substitutions. I would think we're looking at least 4 minutes of added on time. Here is Xhaka over the halfway line. Trippier says he got the ball. The referee gives a free kick to Arsenal. And Zinchenko hurriedly wants to take it quickly. He goes square into the centre circle for Parsi. Ball out now towards Tomiyasu. Saliba. Now Newcastle United just not putting any pressure on the ball at this stage. As Partey plays it out towards Saka. What an excellent save that was, though, from Pope from Nketiah. Bearing in mind his concentration levels, hasn't really had too much to do, but he reacted so well as he looks for a 10th clean sheet this season. Martinelli now off the left-hand side towards Partey. Newcastle defending very, very deep. Out it goes to Tomiyasu, to Saka, holding the width on that right-hand side. Saka now goes on the outside of Burn and overruns it. Goal kick.
And that's what it means to Dan Burn as well. As he runs off, he clenches his fist and he just punches the air. Winning a 1v1 duel at this stage of the game against Saka, or just forcing a mistake from him, is a massive win for Dan Burn. And you have to say he's not been overexposed on that left-hand side for Newcastle, given the form that Saka's in. He's done pretty well tonight, Dan Burn.
We're going to have 5 minutes of added on time. Here comes the board now. And there is confirmation.
And there's the reaction from the Arsenal fans as well. They're really willing their team on. 5 minutes to go. They feel there's something else in this game for them.
Judging from Arteta's reaction, he wanted a World Cup additional time of 10 or 11.
12.
Ball played forward. Wood looked offside. Flag stays down. Wood runs forward. Wood inside of the penalty area. Wood waits for some support. He pulls it back, and Tomiyasu takes it away from Guimaraes. Now there is the late flag. Referee, though, will let play continue. We're into the 5 minutes of added on time now here on 5 Live. Still 0-0. Is there time for the league leaders to get the breakthrough goal to take them 10 points clear? Tomiyasu. Newcastle United still working so hard. So hard. Eddie Howe will be delighted with the work ethic as the ball is played out towards Saka. Doubled up again on him, Saint-Maximin and Byrne. Back it goes, Saliba, midway through the Newcastle half. Ødegaard now takes over, lifts it forward, runs out of play, goal kick, Matt Upson.
Yeah, another example of the Newcastle defending, really. The fact that they've limited the impact of an Ødegaard tonight, the midfield, not allowed him too much time. He tries to lift one of those little clever passes there, but the pressure's always on him. He's never left alone, with the ability to take time and choose or see that pass. Somebody's always on him. I think that's all credit to that midfield three. They've worked tirelessly tonight for Newcastle.
Newcastle United, their only defeat in 20 games in all competitions this season, came at Liverpool in the last minute in August at Anfield, when I remember listening to the commentary, and Newcastle, with their bit of time wasting, in the end it came back to haunt them. Certainly Arsenal supporters have been a little bit aggrieved, but Newcastle now have actually got a throw deep inside the Arsenal half. Could there be a smash and grab raid from Newcastle United? Down by the corner flag. They've got a corner kick. Imagine that. It's great work from Byrne, toiling away down by the corner flag.
He did well, because he kind of kept the ball and then purposefully chopped the ball with his left foot straight against the Arsenal player. I think it might have been Nketiah, was it Saka defending back there, and wins the corner, and an opportunity for Newcastle so late in the game. Set piece with the kind of height they have. Burns in there, Botman's in there.
Corner kick far side the left, 0-0 in stoppage time here on 5 Live. Trippier to take it, far side the left, it's an in-swinger. Joel Linton heads the ball up rather than goalwards, then takes it outside the penalty area on this near side the right, tracked by Saliba. Saliba now will marshal the ball. No, goal kick it will be for Saliba. Everton have got a goal back, but they still trail 4-1 at home to Brighton. We've got about 2 minutes remaining of added on time. Time is running out for Arsenal. Zinchenko over the halfway line. Newcastle once again, everybody back behind the ball, but Xhaka is able to turn with the aid of a deflection, comes to Ødegaard. Just threw himself at that, did Botman, to clear the ball away. Partey, central position, forward ball, and the deflection will take it away from its intended path into the inside right channel, and Pope will pick it up. So Everton 1, Brighton 4, Leicester 0, Fulham 1, Manchester United lead Bournemouth by 2-0. Live reaction and all the details to come on 5 Live through until 10:30. Tomorrow night, Crystal Palace, Tottenham, Chelsea, Manchester City on Thursday. Friday night we'll preview the FA Cup third round action, and we have 4 commentaries for you on Saturday. 5 Live, your home of live football. But here in this top of the table clash, 60 seconds remain. Arsenal have a throw, right hand side to Saka. Guimaraes tracks him, slip from Gabriel, still able to control the ball, passes the ball to Zinchenko. Zinchenko, a few yards forward of the centre circle in the Newcastle half. Newcastle still working very, very hard. Arteta says slow down, but time is not a watchword here. And towards Zinchenko, trying to turn. Zinchenko loses the ball. Martinelli wins it back for Arsenal inside the penalty area. Backheels it to Xhaka. Xhaka goes on the outside. Xhaka looking for a penalty. Referee coming under pressure. Arteta is a man demented. Arteta is going absolutely loopy down below. He's like a jack-in-the-box, dancing his way down the touchline, and referee Andy Madley is surrounded by every Arsenal player looking for a penalty, for a potential handball.
I mean, the noise in the Emirates right now, the way the Arsenal fans have got behind that opportunity. I mean, does it strike the arm? Is it?
It's Murphy who's gone down.
Yeah.
The referee, well, the fourth official is Stuart Atwell, and they've quickly dismissed that.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt it strikes the arm, but it's not in an unnatural position, and it's not miles out of the silhouette of the body to attempt to block the ball. And it's just boiling over Eddie Howe and Mikel Arteta.
Yeah. Arteta and Eddie Howe are having words. Full time, Everton 1, Brighton 4. Jason Tindall is taking the role of the peacemaker. By my watch, we're into 6 minutes of stoppage time now. Arsenal have been awarded a throw on this near side. Lascelles is actually preventing Partey from taking the quick throw, and Lascelles is now shown a yellow card.
I don't know what he's doing there, Lascelles, to be honest. He's just standing in the way of Partey, telling him that he's taking it in the wrong position. Well, you're not refereeing the game, so just kind of get out of the way. He was just trying to obstruct him.
In comes the long throw from Partey, headed up by Longstaff, punched away by Pope. Corner kick. 6.5 minutes of stoppage time. Mentioned that late goal at Anfield when the time-wasting backfired for Newcastle. Will it backfire here?
This place is going to erupt, Deno, if this goes in. It really is. It's just poised here at the Emirates.
We're in the 7th minute of stoppage time. The corner kick is delivered deep, drops towards Saka, and on the volley left-footed. He's put it off target, and that is the final bit of the action from an extremely competitive game. Eddie Howe and Arteta, handshakes all round, but Arteta clearly cuts a frustrated figure down below, because for only the 3rd time this season in the Premier League, the league leaders have dropped points and their winning sequence here at the Emirates has come to an end. But for Newcastle United, they have picked up a valuable point. It's finished Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 0. Matt?
Well, as a supporter, you come to a stadium and you watch two teams empty the tank like Newcastle and Arsenal have done here this evening. You have to walk away thinking, I've got my money's worth. We've had no goals, and you could look at it from the outside and efforts on goal and say, well, perhaps it might have been a bit of a dull game, but it certainly wasn't. I have to say both teams gave absolutely everything. There was fatigue, and there was hardly a mistake on the pitch in terms of key errors, and with the conditions, nothing set in. It was a really high-level game, not enough goal action and those quality moments in front of goal, but a really entertaining, hard-fought match from both teams.
The best chance came for Arsenal in the 87th minute, but Pope kept out Nketiah's effort with his legs. And for the first time since last January, Arsenal have been involved in a goalless draw. It's finished Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 0. Kelly.
Thank you very much, Ian Dennis, and Matt Upson will bring us more from the Emirates very shortly.